Hi guys, it's Sophia, and today I'm going to show you a really quick legs and bum workout. Enjoy! Okay, so starting in standing, so we're going to take the feet hip distance apart and parallel with each other. We're going to start with some squats, taking the hands into the Cossack style position. So one hand over the other, and then simply squatting down, so bending the knees and taking the bottom backwards, keeping the knees tracking over the feet, but the knees don't go beyond the toes. Bending and lengthening the legs, bending the knees, drawing up nice and tall. So you're focusing on sending the tailbone away, the head in the opposite direction. So there's a lengthening in either end, either direction. And you're not flaring the ribs out, you're keeping them nice and controlled in towards the body. Lifting the heels now, so heels lift onto the toes. This is going to challenge our balance as well. So bending the knees, squatting down and up, bending and lifting. Keep going. Try and focus on something in front of you so that you can keep your balance. Ooh. And lifting. Okay, this time we're going to come into a wider stance, so feet are wider than hip distance apart now. Same thing, but maybe swap the arms over and squatting down. Bit deeper this time, so you'll be able to go down a little bit further with the knees a little bit wider. Bending, lengthening, and again we're going to take the heels off the floor. So lifting through the heels, squatting down, lifting, squatting. So you're really focusing on taking the tailbone away backwards and the head and the body moves to counterbalance. Just a few more. Woo. Lifting through the heels, and one final one. Great. Okay, so coming down to roll down to all fours, lifting through the head, exhale, rolling all the way down to the floor. Coming onto all fours, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Come forward a little bit. And you want to take your belly button upwards and inwards towards your spine. You want to send your head in one direction, your tailbone in the other direction, and you want to allow the spine to have natural curves in the back. So don't be afraid to have a little bit of a dip in the back, but you're lifting, you're supporting that lower back with the belly. So you can take your left foot, you're going to have it roughly parallel, the knee parallel with the hip, and you're going to flex your foot and try and keep your foot above your knee. It's quite difficult, especially if you can't see yourself. And then lifting the heel towards the ceiling and lowering. So when you do this, you don't want the body to react. So there's no cocking of the leg. It's all just controlling the movement in the hamstrings. So focusing the movement in the glutes and the hamstrings. If you want, you can focus on a bit of the floor. It's definitely worth keeping the belly button engaged to help control and keep the body still. Okay, lifting the other leg now. So same thing, try and keep your hip, your knee and hip in a line, and then flexing through the heel, lifting and lowering. Lifting up towards the ceiling and lowering down. Don't forget to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Inhaling as you lift, exhale as you lower. And then placing that knee onto the floor, coming onto our backs now. So, placing the heels and the feet down in parallel and rolling gently down. You want to start off in neutral, so your pelvis and your hip bones are level with each other. Your feet are parallel with each other, and then not too far away, not too close to the bottom either. Hands on the floor, and you're going to peel your spine upwards so that your hips are the highest point. Your glutes are working to keep the hips lifted, and you're sending your energy through your knees. So you're going to lift the heel of one foot off, and then lower, lifting the other heel, and then lowering. So you can swap and change. So you're walking almost through heel and toe here. So your hips aren't dropping one side to the other, they're keeping nice and level, and you're isolating again the work in the glutes and the hamstrings. And then placing both heels on the floor, lifting them both up at the same time, keeping the heels lifted, and then replacing that body back down to the floor. Heels go down, and we go back up again. So peeling the spine one vertebra at a time off to our shoulder bridge position. You're going to lift one leg if you can up towards the ceiling, pointing it, flex through the heel, lowering, point and lift. Flex and lower, point and lift 3 times. And then swapping over. So as you do, you lift your leg up, your hip doesn't sink, you keep this lifted. So it's the leg that's lifted that's really got to work. And lowering, point and lower, and then placing that foot back down. Lowering all the way back down. Coming onto our sides now for our side leg work. So, hand underneath the head, legs in a line with the body, and lifting through the underneath waist, top arm to help you. Lifting through the heel, bring that leg to hip height. You're going to point and lift, flex to lower. So you exhale as you lift, you inhale to lower. 3 more. Really lengthen that leg away from in the opposite direction. And then you're going to take that leg back to hip height. You're going to tap the toe in front of you. You're going to tap it behind you. And as you tap it behind you, you're going to resist the urge to flare the ribs again. So controlling the body with your abdominal muscles. Pointing, pointing, tapping. As soon as you tap, you lift the foot off the floor. And then taking that leg back in line with the body, and we're circling with the foot pointed. So circling roughly 8 in one direction, if you can count along. And then when you think you've done roughly 8, reversing it. So really lengthen that leg out of the hip socket. The more you lengthen, the better the work. So we want long, lean muscles. And then relax that leg down if you want to give it a bit of a pat. We're going to go on to our front now. So, hands in front of us on the floor, shoulder width and flat hands. The legs are at the corners of the mat and they're rotated inwards. So the heels are rotating in and the legs, the toes are pointing outwards. Forehead on the floor. And as you exhale, you're going to lift that forehead like an airplane taking off, coming forwards, lifting opposite arm, opposite leg. So really squeezing through the glutes, tucking that tailbone under so that you're not putting undue pressure on the lower back. And then lowering back down. If you can, we're going to full swimming now. So lifting the head up, lifting one arm, one leg, opposite, and then proceed to start eating the arms. Arms and legs. Breathing in and breathing out. Keep going. Focus on the little point in front of your nose. And then steadying the arms, lowering the arms and the legs back down. Head comes back down. Hands underneath the forehead for a little bit of a pillow. I'm going to lengthen the legs out. I'm going to turn my head to talk to you. And we're going to bring them together. We're going to rotate them back to parallel now. Lifting them off just a couple of inches. And I'm going to start to circle them. So circling in one direction. The toes and the feet come to meet in the middle. Again, lengthening them out of the hip sockets. And then reversing the circle. Keep breathing. And then lowering the legs back down. Bending the knees. Bring the heels together above, roughly above the knees. Flexing through the feet. And then tucking the tailbone under. So your tailbone wants to go down towards the mat, so we're protecting the lower back. And then simply squeeze the heels together, and if you can, lift the knees an inch or two off the floor. Squeeze, 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 and release. Breathing in, breathing out. Squeeze the heels, lifting them off the floor just a couple of inches, and lowering back down. Breathing in, breathing out, tucking the tailbone under, squeezing the heels, this time bring them a little bit closer towards your bottom. Squeeze, 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 and release. And final time now, we're going to squeeze and hold it this time. So breathing in and breathing out, squeeze, and lift the knees just a little bit more. Bring the knees a little bit close towards the bottom, just a little bit. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. And then releasing them back down. Right, rolling onto the other side now. So again, hand underneath the head. And the legs are in line with the body. Top arm in front of you to give you support. Lifting through the heel, you're going to point and lift, flex, and lower. So exhaling to lift, inhaling to lower. This is also working the waist. So if you take your arm away, see if you can keep your balance. Point to lift, flexing to lower. 2 more. And then we're going to take it into our toe tap. So tapping front, tapping behind you. And again, resist the urge to want to bring the body forward. You want to keep it nice and still in the middle. Tapping, tapping. Okay. Once you've finished the last tap, bring the leg in line with the body, and we're doing circles of 8. So circling in one direction. Roughly 8, if you can keep count. And then reversing it. So taking the leg out of the hip socket, pointing it away, the head lengthens in the opposite direction. And don't look down at your legs because they're always going to be there. It's okay. And then lowering that leg back down. Coming to sit on your heels. And sitting nice and tall. Just bring the heart rate back down. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the mouth. One more time, lengthening up tall. Release the shoulders as you exhale. And then slowly, in your own time, come back up to standing. Well done. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe. Bye.